Well, folks, it looks like we're finally going to get a break from monsoon season here in Central Ohio, which means it's time to cut grass and get race cars ready to race. By Tuesday afternoon, Billy and Tanner were out in the new shop working on the Nova, trying to get it ready to maybe go to the racetrack this weekend for the King of Columbus No Prep race at Trails. It's going to be the first time the track's open for this season. And at this point, the boys are planning on taking the Falcon and either the S10 or Billy's Nova. So while the boys are gearing up to go race, I'm gearing up to start a new project. And unfortunately for Mark, it includes returning some stock brake parts that I bought for the Monte Carlo. I ordered all this stuff in a couple of months ago when I figured that it would be a while before I got my Hot Boy brakes in from Strange. But as it turns out, I ended up with the rear end and brakes before I ever had time to get the car in the shop to replace the stock brakes anyway. And now the stuff has already sat in the shop for 2 months, and the longer it sits there, the worse the packaging is going to be. So needless to say, I want to get this stuff returned to Mark's for credit on my account before the stuff becomes unreturnable. Mark already knew that I'd be bringing this stuff back, so he had Tyler out front attempting to sell wheel bearings to make up for lost revenue. I came to mess up your tater pile.
Yeah, I see that.
I wanted to bring them boxes back before they got ruined.
Well, them rotor boxes were getting pretty sketchy.
Well, I'm sorry.
That's all right, but
I
they're still
apologize.
in one piece.
Yeah, they're still in one piece.
Yeah, we can tape it.
I had no idea Strange would get me my Hot Boy brakes that fast. I thought I'd have to be cruising around on stalkers for a while.
Them Hot Boys are better looking brakes.
Oh, they're much better looking brakes.
Yeah.
It was at this point that Mark and I start discussing some staffing problems that he's having there in the store with thing 1 and 2. Well, nice of you to join us today, Tyler.
I was last Thursday.
Last Thursday, it doesn't matter what Thursday it is. You were a no-show.
Doodle hasn't been here the last 2 days.
Who?
I need to get that headlight picked up.
Oh, yeah, the replacement of the replacement headlight.
You're right.
All right, I'll get that headlight put in. I'll get the other one out.
Oh, you don't have it in yet?
Hell no.
Oh, well, what?
My staff doesn't show up.
Oh, well, I'd say we both do have the same problem.
We do have the same problem. Let's compare some notes here,
We
Mark.
will. We're going to have a meeting.
By the time I got back to the shop, the boys had Billy's S10 and his Nova ready to go, but they're running low on fuel, especially after trying to tune the fuel injection to get both cars to come up on boost clean. Billy's new engine in the Nova isn't giving much trouble, but the little small block in the S10 is another story. By late Tuesday night, Billy seemed to be pretty happy with the tune-up in the S10. However, they were desperately low on fuel. So the first thing on my agenda for Wednesday morning was rounding up a couple empty drums of methanol and warm up the 64 so I could make a trip down to Logan to pick up fuel. While the truck's warming up out back, I had Tanner help me move some cars around so we can work on the Malibu in the main shop later this afternoon. Now, you may remember in my last video, when we were testing the nitrous kit on the Malibu the other day, some sharp viewers caught an issue that I had missed, and I want to look into it before the weekend gets here, just in case I decide to put the Malibu in streetcar class, or maybe do a little bit of grudge racing down at Trails. I recently made some repairs to the electrical system on the nitrous kit after we had a problem down in Florida. And now for some reason we have this strange arc of electricity that appears in my last video, only while purging the nitrous through the engine. I'm gonna go get fuel for the kids. I'll let you work on this while I'm gone.
Gotcha.
It's almost like June Pup can understand exactly what I'm saying. She was ready to go standing by the truck as soon as I walked out the door. I turned the heat on for her and she got settled in on the front seat for our hour-and-a-half drive down to Logan to pick up these drums of methanol for the boys. I always try to bring empty drums with me so that they can refill them rather than charging me for new drums every time we pick some up. It usually saves us about $100 every time we get meth. Anyway, I went in the office, paid my bill, and they took my drums out and had them filled in no time. Then it was time for me and June Pup to head back to the house to check in on Tanner and see if he's found out anything on this problem with the electrical system and or the ignition system under the hood of my Malibu. So what'd you find on this thing? Did you check everything out?
I had it running. I didn't have the nitrous bottle on because I didn't want to spray the nitrous through the motor. I just had the RPMs up and I was tapping the micro switch and it was shooting just the fuel into it. And of course it was falling over and dying, but it was still activating the nitrous solenoid, and there was no arcs or anything under there.
All right, well, let's fire it up real quick. I'll check it, and there's got to be something going on. There's got to be something. Intermittent electrical problems like this are a real pain in the butt, and I know damn well if I don't find it now, it'll find me later. The current tune-up in the nitrous controller has a little bit of a ramp in it, meaning that the solenoids turn on and off rapidly to control the flow of nitrous and bring it in gently instead of all at once. Using a ramp like this to progress your nitrous in keeps the car from blowing the tires off when the nitrous comes on all at once. However, with solenoids as big as the ones I have on my Malibu, it still hits pretty hard. Well, that's interesting, because you can definitely see in that video, it arcs, sure.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I don't know if just from us searching around in that area it moved something or what.
I mean, for it to arc as far as it did, from what I saw in that video, it has to be high voltage. That has to be an ignition spark. Like, you're not going to get 12 volts to arc that far from just the solenoid to something. That looked to me like it had to have been ignition. I guess we'll have to keep an eye on it, but I mean,
Yeah.
everything's working the way it should.
Yeah, it's not making any funny noises. There's no misses. It's clean. The nitrous hits good.
Yeah. I mean, that bottle's down at 600 pounds. You can imagine what that hit like at 1,000.
Yeah.
And that's just a 150 shot. You've just got number 1 stage.
Yeah,
engaged.
I don't have the second one enabled. The first one's the only one enabled.
And it did it on the first stage in the
video? It did it
video?
on stage 1 because as soon as we started it, you enabled stage 1, and then on the video you put the text on there that said
Yeah,
stage 1 is 150 shot, and then as soon as you hit it, it was arcing.
I don't know. It's not doing it now for sure. I don't know if I'll be racing it this weekend or not. I know they've got a street car class, but I haven't looked at the rules, and typically you can't, like if it says street car something, the name of the class honestly has nothing to do with what the class is intended for. The rules dictate what kind of cars you have in a class, not the name of the class.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of times they'll say daily driver, and then hell, you got full-blown small tire cars competing in it. So
Yeah.
I'll have to look at the class rules and see what they are. I don't know. I wouldn't mind going out and at least, I think they've got test and tune. I wouldn't mind at least doing that. I know I've got some good fuel here in the trailer, don't I?
Yeah, it's like half full of E85.
Is the gas gauge still working in this?
Yeah, when I was in it before, it was working.
Okay. Oh. Well, it's got 3/4 of a tank in it, so I need to run some fuel out of it. If I'm going to race it this weekend, I'm going to spray it. I'd like to put some good fuel in it because I'm sure it's on winter blend right now.
Yeah.
You got that headlight swap, didn't you?
Mm-hmm.
In the dually?
Yep.
I need to take it down to Mark's. Maybe I'll run it down there in this thing and run some fuel out of it. But I don't know what else to do. I mean, I looked it over. You've looked it over. That's interesting. I don't know. I'm not sure what that's all about. Let's get these fuel drums unloaded, and I'll take that headlight back to Mark because he wants that headlight back so he can get it off his tater plate.
Got it.
Me and June Pup went out back and fired up the John Deere and brought it out to the front of the shop so we can unload these 2 alcohol drums and get them placed where they need to go. One of them needs to go in Billy's new trailer, and the other one's going in Billy's shop out back. Once we had that job out of the way, June Pup and I hopped in the Malibu to return my headlight out of my dually back down to the parts store while Billy and Wyatt move cars around so they can change oil in the Falcon up in my shop while I'm gone. They also want to use the 2-post lift to replace the rear tires on the car, as well as go over all the suspension and the converter bolts while it's up in the air. After doing so much traveling all winter long going back and forth to Florida, we're really looking forward to being able to stay home and stay local to race this weekend at our home track right down the road from our house. Of course, that also means if we run into any problems, tools and spare parts are close by. Plus, June Pup will get to go with me for the first time this year. I think the thing she's most interested in is the fact that the dairy bar is open again. She was sniffing and pretty hungry when we came past, so I decided to take her through the drive-thru with a Malibu to get her some chicken fries over at Burger King. Believe it or not, June is actually very well behaved in the car when we go through drive-thrus. As long as Scrappy's not around, June Pup is very gentle and very patient. So instead of trying to eat our lunch in the car, we headed down to Mark's, where I figured we'd both just pull up a chair and eat our lunch with Mark and his associates. And that's when I heard that Mark has hired a new employee to possibly take the place of Thing 1 and 2, since they haven't been the most reliable.
What?
No show yesterday.
Yeah, at least I called.
Holy, you're both here today.
Yeah.
How'd that happen? You probably got your butt chewed, didn't you?
Nah,
Yeah. You both need it.
Hey, I was up at 4:50 this morning,
Oh, good for you. What were you doing? Picking your nose?
cleaning up puke for my daughter.
Keeping Thing 1 and Thing 2 motivated is a full-time job at A1 Auto Parts. Tyler, what are you doing?
That's pizza.
That's not a pizza.
Yes, it is.
What the you call that?
BLT.
Yeah, it's a pizza, all right. It's a pizza. No wonder your kid's throwing up all the time. The crap you eat. Well, let's compare notes. You've got both your employees here today.
I do. I'm batting 1,000.
I don't know if they're much good. I got that headlight for you.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, it's out in the trunk of the
Got
Malibu.
on that. Got back from the dentist.
Yeah,
Did he?
yeah. Mark and I have been commiserating on staffing problems recently, and he thinks he's got an ace up his sleeve. I'm hearing that Mark is so tired and Tyler's he hired some woman to take both of your places. Is that true?
She can try to take our spots.
She can try? Did you hear that?
Yeah.
We'll see what she has to say when she comes in. Who would have thought that a trip to return a headlight could get this interesting? If you had any hair, you'd pull it out.
I would.
So me and June Pup hang out behind the counter and enjoy the rest of our lunch, and it didn't take long for the fireworks to start once Mark's new employee showed up back at the shop with an armload of parts that Thing 1 and Thing 2 shipped out that were wrong.
You didn't get the right thing.
I was just talking about this to Mark here. He hired her to take both you and Tyler's places. And she's well on her way.
He said
No.
4-inch
No.
LED.
No. Stop. No.
4-inch LED.
I took pictures of what you need to go pull.
All right.
Don't
You
be
didn't
dumb.
tell me.
Tell him,
Don't
April.
be dumb.
Rip it.
Oh, honey, I rip everything.
That's what he needs.
Oh, honey.
When the customer says LED 4-inch, I grab LED 4-inch.
When the customer is my old man, I know what the hell.
Oh,
I took a photo.
Right there. You didn't take squat. Now go find that.
meet April, Mark's newest employee that doesn't take shit from anyone. So you're the new delivery girl?
I am. I'm ornery but honest.
Ornery but honest. Oh boy. Personally, I think Mark's just a little too much of a nice guy. But by hiring April to come in and put her foot down, I think there's finally hope to get things turned around at A1. She's the only one around here that's going to straighten this place out. I can tell you that right now. I've got a sneaking suspicion that Mark's planning on turning her loose not only on Thing 1 and 2, but Bucko as well. She's going to get along with Bucko real well.
Yeah, she hasn't had to. They haven't got there yet.
Bring it on, guys.
She don't know who she's messing with this time.
Yeah, but you guys don't know who you're messing with.
From where I'm standing, parts deliveries, parts orders, and staffing problems are about to get really interesting now that there's a new sheriff in town. This could be bad.
It could be really fun.
So did you have all you could take?
I'm headed back to the shop.
Well, they're waiting on stuff.
He's going to edit stuff and laugh his ass off.
You've got your hands full.
Lord help me.
By Thursday morning, the rain still hasn't moved out of central Ohio. The storms have left us with a lot of standing water and no time to test. But we are working on some other things. Rob was busy mounting the hood on the front of Billy's Nova last night when Billy's latest purchase got dropped off. We've been needing a golf cart for a long time, but now that Billy's Nova no longer has water in the block, the engine will be run dry, so we need something to push the car to and from staging lanes and the shutdown. But our next problem is figuring out how we're going to haul it to and from the track. Of course, each weekend will be a little bit different depending on where we go and how many cars we're going to take. But regardless, I needed to get this toolbox removed out of my trailer and bring it in the shop to get it cleaned up, cleaned out, and reorganized and stocked with tools. That's when I realized that the skid loader is profusely leaking hydraulic oil. So I placed a call to Buckwheat while me and June Pup test fit the new golf cart in the trailer. Tanner and I managed to get the trailer all cleaned up and organized, and after a quick trip to Harbor Freight, I had the toolbox restocked with tools again. At this point, we've just got a few more maintenance items to take care of on the race cars before we load everything up and tie them down in the trailer, if this rain ever stops. At this point, it's rained every day for over a week. All right, everybody, welcome back. It is Friday, and yesterday just kind of sucked. It rained on and off all day, and at some points very, very heavily. It was just very difficult to do anything yesterday or film anything. One, because obviously it's raining. Two, it was raining so hard that the rain on the metal roof of the shop made it impossible to be able to speak to each other in there and film anything. So yesterday was just kind of a wash. But Today, I've got a surprise for everybody. A couple, actually. Maybe 3 or 4. It just depends on how the day goes. But Tyler DeSantis and his girlfriend Joe are on their way from Long Island, New York. They're going to be joining us this weekend to race at Trails for King of Columbus. Tyler's bringing his Fox Body Mustang, they call Trick Bag. So he's on his way. He's supposed to be here at about noon. But Tyler's got an open trailer, and let's just say his Mustang is a really nice car, but it's not going to look real nice when it gets here. They've been driving through the rain to get here. I think the weather's starting to clear up now. It's cloudy and sprinkling a little bit of rain, but I need to go stock up on some Jack's Wax stuff for our own cars, and I'm going to pick up a little care package for Tyler and Joe so they can get the Mustang cleaned up when they get here. I had called ahead to Jack's Wax and told my buddy Todd Isaac that I'd be in this morning to pick up some materials. He always takes really good care of me every time I come into the store to pick stuff up. Hey, there he is.
How are you?
Oh, you know, it's another day.
Another day in paradise.
Another day.
Coming to get some goods in a rainy day.
I got some people coming in from out of town.
Ooh.
All on a Mustang, a really nice Mustang on an open trailer. Kind of want to get them hooked up with something to clean this thing up when they get here.
Yeah, this is like the welcoming gift. This Jack's
It's getting to be that way, isn't it?
Yeah. It's like you're going to have more visitors and more visitors once they get hooked on this.
Now, if Todd looks familiar, it may be because you've seen him on the Jack's Wax Instagram reels, or maybe even on the Jack's Wax podcast. Todd's very passionate about marketing and testing products, and will often showcase just how good Jack's Wax products are by testing them in absolute worst-case scenarios, like polishing this single-stage red paint on an old Ford work truck in the junkyard. Look at you go!
That was proof that I actually worked once upon a time. Yeah.
After visiting with Todd for a minute, I loaded up my bucket of stuff and headed home, where the cars aren't necessarily the only thing we're trying to get cleaned up today. Tanner was busy getting the shop organized for some parts to be dropped off this afternoon that I need to take some video of, along with the Monte Carlo. And just about the time Tanner got the shop cleaned up, my hydraulic hose fairy appeared. What are you grumbling about?
What's leaking on this skid steer?
I don't know. That's why I called you. If I knew what the hell was leaking on it, I wouldn't need to call you.
Who was the last one to run it?
Me.
That figures.
Now, my skid loader has had numerous ongoing problems over the last 2 years, but this hasn't been one of them. This hydraulic oil leak is a minor frustration compared to the ongoing saga of dead batteries and hard starting. Jeremy recently replaced the battery in this machine, but I don't think the charging system works, so therefore, the battery is consistently still dead, creating a low voltage situation and problems with energizing the fuel shutoff valve, which means I typically have to use the jump pack and a can of ether just to get the damn thing started. But Bucko insists that the problems lie somewhere else.
We have all these problems out of your equipment, right? It's constantly having problems, correct?
Mostly, it's the same problem over and over that you never fix.
No, I've put new lines on. You rip them off.
That line's not ripped off, it's old.
Yeah, that's the only one you haven't ripped off.
Oh, horseshit.
And that's because it's guarded by steel plate. It's even bent, look. Bent right where the low hose is. It's a miracle it's even in existence.
I probably asked you to fix that
That's
like 10 years ago.
1/4 inch plate.
Dude, I worked this thing very hard when I was working, doing
Yeah.
excavating.
And it shows because I can pull up a junkyard skid steer out of the junk. No wheels, engine blown up. I can bolt it all back together and I have less problems with that than you do yours.
You know why?
And mine's a 95.
You know why? Because you never use it hard. You never use it hardly ever.
I use it all
What
the
do you do?
time.
You carry round bales up there for the cows. That's about it.
I do a
And
lot.
move scrap metal.
That's heavy. Yeah, it's a Ford. It likes Ford Rangers.
Can you just go down to Chumpy's and get me a hydraulic line made and get this thing fixed?
I suppose. I mean, that's not going to fix the low compression starting problems.
It's not low compression starting problems. It's a dead battery and a charging system likely doesn't work problem.
The battery is new and it's hard to say with the charging system.
While Buckwheat's finally going to buckle down and hopefully fix my skid loader, Billy's hooking up his truck to the trailer so he can take his Nova up to House of Pearls. Evidently, at some point over the last couple of days, a plan was put in place to take his Nova up to the body shop and have it painted over the weekend. So with the new hood mounting system in place, it's time to put the hood on the car and load it in the trailer.
last car, I guess.
With the Nova finally loaded up and tied down in the trailer, Billy's off to the body shop and Buckwheat's down at Mark's.
Hey, we got big deals going on here.
Yeah.
Big
I'm sure
deals.
we do.
I need that hydraulic line built for my brother's skid steer, and he
Thanks
wants
a lot,
he wants a battery warranty because your battery's crap.
What?
That's what he said.
Well, that's why you bought that nice jump starter.
Yeah, that's why he got the big nice jump starter.
Exactly.
Well, that took long enough.
It took me 3 seconds to make that hose.
I know, but I've been here for 45 minutes.
Talking.
Good grief.
While Buckwheat was busy jack-jawing down at Mark's trying to get a free battery out of him, Tyler and Joe pulled in from Long Island, New York with the Mustang on the open trailer, filthy dirty from the trip over in the rain. Hey, look what the cat drug in. Kill! Kill! You're back! You just left!
Unannounced and uninterrupted. Just like your post.
You put that post up, I had to see if what were you going to do about it.
That's the tough guy now, are you?
After the third uninvited guest since Easter, I had to put a post up on Facebook asking people please not to stop here at the house. I've already got my hands full dealing with the ones that are already here.
The rain destroyed my car.
Yeah? Well, I just so happen to have something for that. Look right over there to your left.
Oh shit. Right when it stops raining, Joe's got to put her bikini on and get the truck, trailer, and car.
While we were busy trying to figure out what we were going to make Joe wear while she washes the Mustang, Billy was dropping his Nova off up at the body shop for a quick satin black all-over paint job. And for some reason, everybody at the House of Pearls was excited to see it pull in.
Got a new race car driver.
Oh yeah. Part of the team.
Yep.
I fit good.
According to Billy, the plan for right now is just get the car all one color and make it look decent for this season. Then next winter, we'll bring it back to lay some nicer paint on it and do all the body work on it, like what they've done on Molly's Super, which they plan on finishing up soon after all the jams dry. And by all indications, this car will be absolutely gorgeous when they get it done. I can't wait to see how Mom and Dad's Black 55 turns out when we get it finished, probably later this fall. What the hell took you so long? Buckwheat finally made it back from Mark's with a new hydraulic line. Tyler actually helped him get the hydraulic tank refilled, and then it was time for him and Joe to go get some lunch. I think they had just about had enough of Uncle Buckwheat for the day. Instead of having them unhook their truck from the trailer, I told them just take my truck and I'll stay here and help Buckwheat diagnose this charging system problem. As it turns out, I was right. The charging system isn't working, and neither is the parking brake evidently. So as usual, we've got one mystery solved and another one created. But for right now, I need to run into Columbus to pick up some parts for Billy. So, a little hectic today, right? So now I am headed back to Columbus. This time, Billy needs me to go pick up the radiator for the 55 Chevy. He dropped it off at Skinner's Diesel Service, and evidently they've pressure tested it, and according to them, it didn't leak. That radiator was a pain in the ass to get out. You may remember in a previous video, I mentioned that we had a little bit of an antifreeze leak on the 55, but we couldn't locate where it was coming from. The leak was definitely coming from the radiator, so Billy had Tanner pull the radiator out, and Billy took it to a radiator shop in Columbus to have it checked out. So they called Billy to let him know the radiator's done, but he didn't have time to go and get it because he's busy at the body shop with the Nova. So he sent me into Columbus to pick it up, and I had never been here before and had a hell of a time finding it. But once I found it, I found out we've got yet another problem. This radiator was polished when he dropped it off. It looked chrome plated through the grill, but after the radiator shop hot tanked it and pressure tested it, this thing looks like something out of a dump truck more than a race car. And it turns out the petcock was the only thing actually wrong with it. I'm headed back to Jack's Wax. I got to get something to polish this radiator up with. I hope to God there's something they can use to clean this thing up, because that was a beautiful polished radiator with polished brackets. It looked chrome plated through the grill, not so much anymore. So once again, for the second time today, I call into Jack's Wax to Todd Isaac and plead my case. He told me to bring the radiator straight to him, and he thought he had something that would help us clean it up. When they cleaned the radiator out, it left it like that.
Oh yeah, we'll make quick work of this.
Todd broke out a bottle of metal polish, an applicator, and a microfiber towel, and went straight to work on the radiator.
Of how it shines it back up really fast.
Dude, that's crazy.
That's why that product has become so crazy for us.
Dude, thank you.
Hey, no problem, man. That's you just was coming down here to give me work. I know what you're doing. You're like, you probably told the people at the radio shop, man, see what if you can destroy this thing.
No, I did not. I didn't drop it off. Billy dropped it off.
No. Yeah. Yeah, man, it turned out good. This is what this product's made for. Stuff just like that.
Thank you.
Yep. Thank you, man.
Now that I know we've got everything we need to clean the radiator up, we can get the radiator put back in the 55 so Tanner can race it this weekend, if I can ever get home through rush hour traffic. I ducked off the interstate on this exit just so I could sit in traffic on the back way home. I was hustling as quick as I could to get home and meet up with the guys from Hanlon Motorsports.
How we doing?
These guys brought this Mustang over to race King of Columbus this weekend at Trails.
How are you? I'm Zach.
Good, Tanner. Or Steve, whatever you want to call me. I don't care.
Not only are these guys coming to race with us this weekend, they brought all my 5-speed parts over for the Monte Carlo and wanted to check it out.
This thing's pimp.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Oh yeah. And they put all new trim and emblem.
Oh yeah, it's got everything new on it.
That's a certified freaking unit. Does he still have his big pimp chain too?
Oh yeah, that's on the floor in the car.
Hang that from the rear view mirror.
Yeah, that's the plan.
There were over 350,000 Monte Carlos built in 1978, but of those, only 1,719 had a 4-speed. Not all of those had bucket seats, and not all of them had consoles. From the research I've done, there were only about 700 cars equipped with a factory tack dash. This one, being a 4-speed, is ultra rare. So Andrew Hanlon is here to drop off all my 5-speed stuff, I hope.
I thought you wanted an automatic.
So here's the deal, man. 1978 Monte Carlo. This is one of 1,700 and some made. I think 1,740 of them or something like that. Pretty rare car.
This thing's pimp.
It's pretty neat. It's a neat car. But the thing of it is, it's miserable to drive. It's a factory 4-speed Saginaw cast iron. It's terrible and it's powerless. I mean, even though it is an ultra rare car, it has no power. It's miserable. It can't hardly get out of its own way. So even though it's an ultra rare car, it doesn't necessarily mean it's a valuable car, although it's not, it's probably worth more than your standard 78 Monte Carlo. But I mean, I paid pretty good money for it, and you can't hardly find these cars for less than $15,000, which that's still a pretty reasonable price in today's economy for, a pretty rare car. But I'm really stoked about going to Sick Week.
Oh yeah.
This next winter in this. So I've got a 440-inch small block Chevy. It's a 4/185 bore, 4-inch stroke, 23-degree small block. We're going to put in this thing with twin turbos. Oof. And you brought me my 5-speed.
I sure did.
TKX.
Sure did.
And it's not faceplated. I told you I didn't want none of that.
Right.
Because I want to drive this thing. Like, this is going to be basically like my Malibu, only with a 5-speed and twin turbos.
Right. Should be a lot of fun to drive.
Should
honestly.
be pretty comfortable, really.
I mean, you don't know this, but I'm coming with you to Sick Week.
Oh, you are?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
No, it should be a lot of fun.
Yeah, it should run pretty good.
Yeah, 440. Should move.
Should. I've got a strange rear end sitting over here for it with aluminum center section, 430 gear. I've got all brand new strange Hot Boy brakes for it.
Brakes.
And you've got a hydraulic clutch set up for me
do.
too. So we're going to switch this from a manual mechanical clutch to a hydraulic.
We are? Yeah.
Yeah.
You gonna put like the adjustable bank shift Billy on it, or you can just kind of?
That's the plan.
Okay.
Yeah, we got you set up for the Malwood USA under dash hydraulic setup. Ram stepped up with the hydraulic bearing, Ram clutch, which is a dual disc. So it should ride really nice, honestly. I think you're gonna like it.
Good.
So,
and I chose the close ratio option. So first gear is a little taller. Was it like 276?
287.
287.
287.
All right, so it'll have a 287 low gear, but all the gear ratios after low are pretty tight.
Right.
Which is why I wanted to go with a 430 gear.
Right.
Because I knew that the low gear was going to be a little bit taller.
Right.
Like my 55's got what, like a 327 low gear in it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
and it's a much more wide ratio transmission, which is fine for my 55.
Right.
But this thing, I wanted it to stay in the RPM range a little closer when you're pulling gears with the turbo.
Oh yeah, and then it will also help out on the highway too. So when you're
Yeah.
doing the drag and drive, it's not screaming in fifth gear. So.
Oh no. Like my Malibu's got 410s with an 070 overdrive, and I think it turns like 2,800 RPM at like 80 miles an hour.
Right.
I'm good with that.
Yeah.
I can make that work.
Yeah, should be fun to drive. I can't wait.
So this brings us to Saturday, and we're at National Trail Raceway right down the road from our house for the King of Columbus race. The damp, cold, wet, rainy weather has finally moved out, and judging by the number of cars waiting to get in the front gate, I think everybody's looking forward to getting out of the house this weekend and watching some drag racing. Unfortunately, Billy had some problems first round when the truck rolled through the beams and then broke 2 push rods after he bought back into the second chance race. Tanner entered the 55 Chevy in True Street and made it to 3rd or 4th round before the throttle cable broke, but the boys managed to keep the Falcon running until the final round of small tire. They were working on the tune-up and turned the car up a little bit for the semi-final run, but unfortunately tulipped a valve and couldn't make it back for the finals. But we still had one car in the camp running and still in competition, right up to the final round. Tyler and Joanna's trick bag Mustang still had oil pressure and made it through the final round in True Street, taking home not only the win, but a Wally and a pile of cash as well.
You ain't gonna rattle Tyler.
I've never seen Tyler so excited to win a race in all my life.
I'm in Wolfing, guys.
Tyler and Joe took me and Vicky to breakfast on Sunday morning and then strapped Walter into the back seat Sunday afternoon to head home back to Long Island, New York. So if you're keeping track, we've had Stephen Little here in the last week, then Tyler and Joe, but by Monday evening, we were awaiting our 3rd guest to arrive here at the house. Tony and Tess had driven from California all the way to Texas to race at Jimmy's race at Yellow Belly Dragway in Grand Prairie, Texas. And then after the race, they drove over 1,000 miles back to Ohio to park their car and trailer here to keep for the summer. You're a bad influence, Tony.
Why?
Stick shift shit.
Yeah, wait till you get to that level of braking shit.
Although Tess had already seen the Monte Carlo the last time she was here, Tony wasn't with her, so this is his first opportunity to see the car himself firsthand. So you just drove straight through from Small Tire Gangsters all the way to Ohio, and you've got a broken transmission. Since their flight leaves out of here tomorrow afternoon, they've only got so many hours to pull the car in the shop and fix the transmission so that it's already fixed the next time they come back out to enjoy it. It seems like every time they come out here to visit, they're running wide open throttle, and there's never enough time to do everything they want to do and relax and just hang out. But that didn't stop me and Vicky from relaxing by the fire. She made some s'mores, and I enjoyed some Smirnoff screwdrivers. So anyway, that brings us to Tuesday morning. While Tony and Tess are getting everything ready to fly back to California, me and Tanner have the 55 Chevy in the shop investigating a terrible driveline vibration that seems to be due to the drive shaft being too short. What's your assessment, Tess?
You get like a D+ for engagement there.
A D+ for engagement?
A D+. No, you're not failing, but it's also not a passing grade.
Okay. So we need more length.
Yeah.
We're not penetrating.
Okay. Okay.
We're not getting enough engagement.
Who have you been hanging out with? What? Is Tanner doing this to you?
No.
What?
No.
Are you a bad influence?
Tyler and Joe just left.
Oh, that makes sense. That's definitely a Tyler thing. Yeah, the depth of the penetration is not adequate.
So far, everyone agrees that the drive shaft's too short, but I wanted to get Tony's opinion too. I need your expert opinion.
Oh, that's why I'm here, all the way from California, expert opinion.
Short.
Yeah.
To me. And this line right there is where the seal was riding. And if you look at how far the splines are in, I don't think this had proper penetration.
That thing was not getting anybody pregnant.
I left on 20% of 200 shot on Saturday.
It's like metal's a lot stronger than we think, until I get a hold of it, I guess, because
Yeah, if we turn you loose with it.
Yeah.
There's just definitely not enough penetration there for Tony.
No, not at all. Jeez.
While Tess and Tony are getting ready to go back to California and packing their bags, I took the drive shaft down to Super Duty and dropped it off so that they could rebuild the drive shaft and replace the yoke, which was missing the plug out of the end of it that keeps it from leaking transmission fluid. By the time I got back from Super Duty, it was time to load up the Mustang in the trailer and put it away, and finally take Tony and Tess to the airport.
When are you guys supposed to be at the airport?
They were supposed to be at the airport like 20 minutes ago, probably.
Oh, they're supposed to be there now.
Maybe there'll be a flight delay and it'll all work out.
Wishful thinking.
How many Mocha Fucky Autos have you had today, Jeremy?
3. I'm about to switch to Miller Lite.
You've been down that road.
Yeah.
I'm gonna start stocking these in my little mini fridge for him.
How about screwdrivers? I had some smeared off screwdrivers last night. They were good.
It was a rough Monday. It was a rough
Why
Monday.
wouldn't I be drinking? Eventually, Tony and Tess got everything taken care of and packed up everything in the dually, and we head towards the airport to hopefully get them there and drop them off before their flight takes off. Bye, honey.
Bye.
See you next time. See you, buddy.
It ain't right, Tom. Fucking do it. Thank you.
You're welcome. See you next trip. Be careful. Later that evening, Vicky and I decided we'd like to go for a drive in the El Camino, and we decided we'd like to go down to Lancaster to a state park that we've visited before. Billy and Molly decided they'd like to go as well. So they're in the Malibu, and Vicky and I are in the El Camino. The state park we're going to is called Rock Mill. It's just a little ways north of Lancaster, right off 33. The park is basically the site of an old grist mill built in 1824. The mill was in operation until 1905 and then sat dormant for over 100 years. Then in 2003, the mill and the land was donated to the Fairfield County Parks and Recreation Department, who restored the mill back to operating condition by 2017. The park is open year-round, and you can stop down to visit and take pictures anytime during the day, which is exactly what Vicky and the kids wanted to do before the sun went down and before we went to have dinner that night. All right, Squirrel, what's going on tonight? What do you got to lay on me?
Speaking of squirrels.
Oh my God, there was a squirrel incident.
Tell everyone about the squirrel
No,
incident.
God, this video is going to be so long. I don't think I can get into the squirrel incident. Maybe we'll bring that up. We'll talk about that later because that's a developing story. It's a developing story. That saga has not been finished.
Let's just say there was a squirrel that scared Allison so bad. She was running and called me up to come out and look at this squirrel that was chasing her.
And then Tanner and Rob tried to kill the squirrel by bashing it with a shovel.
No, but we decided that wasn't nice, so Rob decided to move the squirrel because he seemed like sickly or lethargic. We thought maybe rabid. Like, we didn't know because he wasn't acting very squirrely. So Rob takes him back to the woods.
The short story is, we thought...
Later, Molly comes in here. She's got white gloves on, and she walks right through the door with a squirrel in her hands. Like, she goes, "What's the story on this, guys?" And we're like, "Put it down!"
And now the squirrel
is Molly's bunny hutch.
Bunny hutch, yeah. And she's feeding it, nursing it back to life. Yes. That's the squirrel story. We'll bring that up again later as that unfolds.
Well, when you call me squirrely,
All right, so what do we need to talk about tonight?
It has been very hectic.
So we had Stephen Little here for a few days.
Yep.
Then
he almost got arrested. The kids almost went to jail. Cars almost got impounded. But continue.
None of that. Okay.
Yeah.
So,
that happened.
Then Tyler and Joe showed up.
To
spend the weekend with us.
So he came to get his Walter.
He was so excited. If you guys haven't watched it, you've got to go over on the Street Racing channel and watch the latest video of Tyler and Joe in town. It was a good time.
And he won the streetcar class at King of Columbus, got his Walter.
His head was...
I loved it, man. I was so happy for both of them. Joe did such a good job. She got the car all cleaned up. I went to Jack's Wax and got all that stuff for him, and she did a bang-up job cleaning that car up. And she takes so much pride in what she's doing and helping him, and it's just wonderful. I love to watch those two race.
Yes.
And she did a really good job backing him up. Yes. And then they left.
And then Tess and Tony arrived.
And then they've got another broken transmission. It's like every time they pull in, there's something broke on that car.
My housekeeping chores, like housekeeping duties, like I wash all the bedding in between each.
You guys are wearing out my wife.
Wearing me out. I need to get a second comforter and sheets for that room so I can rotate easier.
And then and on top of our invited guests, we have had numerous surprise guests that show up unannounced, uninvited, and it's becoming a little bit of an issue.
We kind of have this it's all year long, but especially in the spring.
Yeah.
So, but what I wanted to let people know is This isn't a store. Although we call it my merch shop, it's not like a shop that you
This
can
is
come
not a
shop in.
business that's open for regular hours. We're not a shop. We're not a retail center.
No,
And
we
this
just
is,
do our shipping out of here. That's it.
and we live here.
And we live here. And
Right.
I work a normal job, so
Exactly.
I
This
can't-
is what we need to discuss. You still have a regular job, and you are supposed to be clocked in for certain hours during the day. So when people show up,
I say, hey, can I buy merch?
then you have to clock out, and then you end up having to work later, and your attention span is about that of a squirrel.
Yeah.
So you are very easily distracted, and things just go off the rails.
Yeah.
Completely off the rails.
So yeah, unfortunately, guys, it's better just to meet us at an event. If you can catch us at an event somewhere near you, that's how we prefer to meet people. We can't really do meet and greets here at home.
And the other thing,
What?
if people show up here, please understand, I cannot film you here.
Yeah, I think sometimes people are like, oh, I want to get in a video, but
Yeah.
we
We can't do that.
If we show one person, then it's going to be 100
Exactly. And then there'll be literally a revolving situation of vehicles and nothing getting done.
Put gates up. It'd be very inconvenient to have to put gates up.
We don't want to have to put gates up and a fence, but it's coming to that. And I know people feel very connected. They love the videos. They love the scenery. In fact, one of my merch guys was just mentioning, man, I just love watching your videos. It's got this Ohio vibe to it.
It's very pretty around here.
Yeah. And so I get it. People want to stop and visit, but please understand, I cannot be entertaining people during the day while I'm trying to film and I know it looks like we just screw off all day, right? It just looks like I do nothing but walk around and film everybody. But
I mean, feel free though, if you're in the area. A lot of people say, well, we're coming through. Check out the lake. Check out Jegs. Check out Arenado. Like, check out all the beautiful scenery.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. Come experience Ohio.
But don't come to our house.
Yeah.
Please.
And we don't, it gets the dogs all worked up. And
The
it's
dogs
just,
start okay, so I do a lot of voiceovers and I do them upstairs and it has to be quiet.
Yeah.
So when everybody pulls in the driveway, the dogs go apeshit, especially Scrappy Doo, and she doesn't stop, right? So everything stops. Like literally everything has to stop to see who's here, deal with it. It's very frustrating.
Okay.
All right.
Next topic.
So what brings us to this next topic is the fact that it's obvious that a lot of people would like to come and visit.
So we have a way that you can.
Yeah. So we've done this once before and it turned out really good. It was great. It was a wonderful experience. I really enjoyed it and I think they did too. And so we've got some new merch that we're putting up on the website tonight. And it's my favorite merch I've ever put up. It's me. Yeah. It's the carburetor design shirts, hats, shirts, hoodies, zip-ups, and metal signs.
I love metal signs.
They're going to be available in red, white, and black.
They look very sharp.
Just like the ATM logos, right?
Yep.
So it's all kind of tied in. And so any purchase that you make between tomorrow, well, you'll see this whenever, but April 18th
Thursday.
until May 31st.
The end of May.
Every order, is that how we're doing it? Each order?
Each order.
Each individual order
Gets you a chance.
enters you in a chance to win an opportunity to come visit us and go cruise around in the cars, maybe drive the cars, hang out, go visit Mark at A1, go visit the machine shop and Uncle Bob, maybe House of Pearls to visit those guys, maybe go see Uncle Terry and Kimmy at Jegs, right?
We'll do all the things and tell them the best part.
What's the best part?
If they have a car that this carburetor's gonna go
Yeah. Okay, I forgot. Sorry.
Yeah.
So ATM has decided to step up and sponsor a brand new 4150 gas or E85 carburetor for the winter. And you'll be able to come here, pick it up, and if you're close enough where you can bring your vehicle, I'll help you bolt it on and dial it in.
How cool is that?
I don't know.
I get emails constantly. People are like, "Hey, can Bill work on my car? I just need some help." And I'm so sorry, everybody. Bill has no time to work on anybody else's
I don't even have time to work on my own stuff.
We
I have
keep
to
our own stuff together.
Yeah, I have to pay other people to work on my stuff because.
But on this occasion. Yes, you will.
I will be doing the work on the car, and Tanner or Tommy or Allison or somebody will be videoing me working on your car.
Yes.
And you can be in that video.
Yes, that will be shown. Just like when we went on that fall cruise with the last winners, and they had that really cool C10, that orange C10.
Yeah.
They were such a fun.
How about that little place we went last night with the kids to take pictures?
Rock Mill.
Yeah,
Rock
we could
Mill
go down there and take
Lancaster,
pictures.
Ohio. That place is gorgeous. It's open every day till dusk. It's just a park, but it's just beautiful.
But if you win, remember, don't pet June Pup. As you can see, she's back there as we speak, practicing biting people right now. Yes, that's what she's doing. She's sitting there. Look at her. She's gnawing on that thing. I just can't wait to bite somebody.
No, she's not.
No, she's not. But just don't try to pet her, okay? Because it usually doesn't end well for visitors, especially when I'm around, because she's very protective of me. If I'm in the vicinity, she is on guard.
On guard.
100%.
Okay. What else is on your list over there?
That's it.
You're rattling.
I'm not rattling.
You're rattling.
I'm trying to warn people not to get bit by June Pup.
You're rattling.
All right, are we done? You didn't mention your shirts.
Oh yeah, look at these pretty shirts. So Bill's gonna have all this new carburetor stuff, but like you ladies might not want a carburetor shirt.
Of course they want a carburetor
I have some
shirt.
new glitter. Look at this, beautiful.
Nobody
It's like an
wants
emerald,
the glitter stuff. That's just for girls. But the girls will definitely want a carburetor shirt or a hoodie or a zip up.
In case they don't, I've got them covered.
Or maybe they want to buy one for their old man.
Well, that's true.
Yeah. See?
All right.
Are we done?
Yes. Good night.